When the fairing is finished, there will often be more piglets than the sows are able to nurse on their own, meaning that we have surplus piglets, and in order for them to have a sufficient milk supply, we need to make a nurse sow. In each batch, we'll make a fairing list, making notes from every day, how many piglets we have born, and compare it to the number of functional teats at the sows. An example, if we have 10 fairings in one batch, 160 live-born piglets, but only 145 functional teats, then we have surplus piglets and we need to make a nurse sow. It's the sow's capability to take care of the piglets and her production of milk that's important at this point. It has been proven that the DanBred sow is actually able to take care of more piglets than she has functional teats for. But in all cases, make sure it's an individual evaluation of the sow and her ability to produce milk for the piglets that she's going to take care of. To make a 2-step nurse sow, there are 4 steps you need to follow. Choose the intermediate nurse sow. She should receive piglets that are 4 to 7 days old. Her own piglets should be minimum 21 days, so that they're ready to be weaned. The pigs from the intermediate nurse sow that are 21 days old are weaned and moved to a cleaned and disinfected weaning section. Choose the nurse sow to receive surplus piglets. The nurse sow should have piglets of her own that are 4 to 7 days old. The piglets from the nurse sow that are 4 to 7 days old are moved to the intermediate nurse sow. For the nurse sow and the litter with the nurse sow, you should make sure that they are both in general good condition. So make sure that the sow you choose is in good health. Avoid sows with redness on the shoulders, hard udders, and litters where the piglets aren't thriving in general, and other cases where the health might be at risk. Make sure to make a final evaluation, checking the udder of all of the sows before you make the final decision. It's important to have a full evaluation in order for you not to add lactation time when it's not needed. Remember that when you're making a nurse sow, she should always receive the same amount of piglets that was taken away from her. The number of piglets should always be as high as possible with the nurse sow in order for her to maintain a steady milk production, so you should always avoid putting less piglets than the starting point. Making the actual nurse sow takes a bit of consideration and proper management, as you're actually disturbing both the sow and the litter. Make sure that the actual exchange of piglets is made when the sow is full and more likely to accept the piglets. When the sow is full, she's more willing to accept the piglets and to lie down and relax, which means that after feeding, we'll be ready to make the final steps of the exchange. Before the piglets are moved to the nurse sow, we should make sure that the conditions and the pens are properly prepared to receive both the sow and the piglets. Heat lamps should be turned on if necessary, and the feed should be adjusted to match both the need of the sow and the piglets at this point. We want to avoid any mastitis, so we are adjusting the feed down a little bit just to make sure that the milk production goes down. Once the piglets develop with the nurse sow, we can once again adjust the feed to match the need of the piglets. The excess piglets from the new fairings can now be moved to the nurse sow. We are moving the biggest piglets from the fairings, as these are more likely to have received a larger amount of colostrum and hence stronger than the other piglets. Since they are stronger, they will also be more likely to handle the larger amounts of milk with the nurse sow and the fewer antibiotics in the milk, meaning that they will be more likely to handle this exchange. If the sow becomes uneasy during the exchange of piglets, you can provide her with some straw or other material to make sure that she relaxes and accepts the piglets. We're always moving the largest piglets to the nurse sow. But in case you only have small or smaller piglets in the fairings, you should consider making a nurse sow that only takes care of small piglets. It is important to remember, even in this case, to only move the largest possible piglets to the nurse sow. Creating a small nurse follows the exact same steps as a regular nurse sow. The only exception to this is that the access of the udder and the size of the teat should be taken into consideration. Small piglets should be placed at a calm, younger sow where the udder is accessible and the teats matches the size of the piglets. First parity sows should be avoided, as the small piglets aren't fully able to stimulate the udder development needed at this time and for future milk production. You should also try to avoid older sows, as the older sows tend to have a larger udder and larger teats, which doesn't match the size of the piglets. Nurse sows is a way to ensure that all piglets receive the needed amount of milk, but also a way to ensure survivability in the fairing unit. But be sure that you always make an individual evaluation of both the sow and the piglets before you make any changes of the litters. Being able to make the best match possible between the sow and the piglets is what will allow you to fully utilize the potential of DanBred.